You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hello, mamas. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I'm so glad you're here as always. If you are new to the show, my name is Marissa Lonick. I am your host and I am the founder of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. I'm so excited today because we have a very special guest. Her name is Dr. Christiane Schroeter. She is a business and wellness coach, a professor, and the author of How to Master Your Goals. She is also the host of the globally ranked Happy, Healthy, Hustle podcast and the creator of Petite Practice, a framework designed to help female entrepreneurs achieve success through small, intentional actions. And we are going to dive into that further, you guys. Don't worry. With a PhD in health economics and over 15 years of experience in marketing, innovation, and entrepreneurship, Christiane empowers women to grow thriving businesses while maintaining balance and well-being. I'm so excited to have you here, Dr. Christiane. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I love that. And I actually am really excited too, because we're going to have some really fun experiences I'm going to share. So this is going to be a super nice episode.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just get started with a little bit more about you. I know you have 2 teenage daughters. You've been doing this working mom thing for some time now. Just tell us more a little bit about you and your journey as a working mom.
Yeah, so I actually started this job here in California when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. So I moved from the South to California, being pregnant, having 2 cats in the car. I need to add that too. For all those pet owners, you know how wonderful that is to travel cross countries with pets. And started my job being 5 months pregnant. And that means this was my dream job. I wanted to work in California, but at the same time, I wasn't quite feeling like at the top of my game, so to speak. And of course, as a professor, you stand a lot and you are constantly a performer. By nature, I'm actually not a performer. I actually like my quiet time. I am actually an introvert that thrives on being alone and having my alone time. And then I'm really a good performer. So I'm really all about the harmony of the two there. And I think having a daughter while you are on your academic journey, this is like the tenure track. Now I'm a full professor. I would really say the learning lesson out of all of this is, and to all the moms that are listening, there's never like a perfect moment to have a child. I think we were really wanting to have a child, and it all kind of was like we wanted to switch states. We lived in Arkansas at that time. We wanted to go somewhere where we really enjoyed the whole surroundings. So the environment was really lining up with my job. My husband wasn't really thrilled where we lived either. And then we wanted to have a child, and it all ended up happening at the same time. So to all the moms that are listening, sometimes, the path and the stars just kind of align, and then you just go with it. It ended up working out beautifully. And I think I actually inspired my students, especially the female students, that it can get done. And it's definitely something that, especially as us females, I was very proud wearing my business suit with my belly and walking I had these little wedge heels that I was wearing at the beginning. At the end, I just went for flats. And I said, we can have that masculine business side, but we can also pair it with that more feminine, I'm pregnant and I'm proud and I'm sharing with you my journey. And I would encourage everybody that is working in business, that is definitely that intersection, that Venn diagram that I'm always striving for, but that we need to share also. Being a woman also means that we are going through this beautiful manifestation of we want to have children, we want to raise children, we have a family, and that's something that's so important to share.
I love that story so much. It's sort of like, to me, it culminated the epitome of having it all, and actually having it all at once, the way you described it, kind of how it all sort of happened in the same season. So beautiful. So I mentioned in your bio this practice called Petite Practice for Goal Achievement. I'm so curious what this is. So can you tell us a little bit more about it and how us working moms can use it to achieve success without burnout?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So let's break up the two words. So petite is a French word. It means small. And practice, I'm very intentionally choosing the word practice and not routine or perfection, because it is just trying something, taking a step forward, reaching your goal. So it is a small step to mastering your goal. And you can probably hear from my accent, I'm from Europe. So a lot of my coaching really puts in some of the European flair. I'm totally infatuated with French culture, and I speak French as well. I'm born in Germany, so I have that kind of fun intersection of the structure from Germany, but also at the same time, very much going for reaching your goals, this kind of driven, ambitious US style system. And the Petite Practice helps you get there in a small, digestible way. So as a working mom, we don't have hours on end to go after our goal. And my signature framework really allows you to take step by step towards your goal consistently, celebrate every win along the way, or even like the small failures, the small missteps, but still you're going forward. And even if you take a misstep, remember, you only took a small step. So instead of taking a big step and then doing a mistake and like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do with this? It's just a small step. So if you take a misstep, that's all right. You take another small step, and that one might actually be a little success. So all my clients love this framework because it allows them to really celebrate wins along the way and also see momentum, because it builds, and then over time, the practice becomes a routine and the routine becomes a habit. And that's really what we're going to go for.
Yes. This reminds me a lot about just like a lifestyle choice, almost like if you were trying to lose weight. The most sustainable and best way to do that would be to alter lifestyle habits to get there and not, go all or nothing on a Monday morning, right? Because we know how that typically happens if we try to change too much at once or just try to go too fast, too quick. So I love that it's intentional in those small steps. And I also love that it's embracing, and I'll use the word failure, but it's not failure. I find it's always feedback. That's good advice a coach once gave me. It's never failure. It's always feedback. But it's really embracing those those moments and not giving up or getting down about them, but just sort of like taking them in stride, which I can really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think that especially if you think, you're working mom and you only have these little windows of opportunity to actually do some work. It could be like even in the car when you're waiting for pickup, or it could be when you come home and there's like maybe a little window of opportunity when the kids are in bed. That's really what the Petite Practice is all about, that you look at your calendar and you can identify these little 15-minute windows. And then you put in some very intentional moves that really change your business over time. So all of my clients say, Christiane, I can't believe it. Like my business is just running now, even though I don't really feel I changed a lot. So it's not really like this sledgehammer approach, but it's more like we're weaving in little practices, as you mentioned, into your lifestyle to make your business run without making it a burden, or I hate this word, but I'm going to use it anyway, without making it overwhelming, right? Because you don't want to feel you're constantly on, but maybe there are just little moments in time where I can weave something in. And that might actually pair with something I'm doing at that particular time anyway.
Yes. Yes. Reminds me of when I was building my business while working in the corporate world. I would commute by train and I would write all my social media posts when I was on the train. Like that's what I did with that time. And it was, 30 minutes, not every single day, but, it was just intentional use of that time because what else was I going to do? Scroll social media, check work email. I could check work email when I get to work, right? So it was just a really good way to institute that. So yeah. All right. So I have a question since you are a mom of teenagers. Sometimes people think that the older the kids get, the less they may need you. But I imagine that might be far from the truth, especially if you are in the stage of like preparing for college admissions or navigating peer pressure and all that might come with raising teens. So how do you balance at the stage you're in growing a business while also remaining a very present and engaged mom?
Well, this is such a great question. And I want to go back to the bio for a second. So keep in mind, I'm a professor. So I see the range from high school graduates, right? So the 18-year-olds, 22-year-olds, I see them on a daily basis. And in fact, I just calculated, I had more than 10,000 students already that I taught in my innovation entrepreneurship classes. So large amount of students. Because I see them in the classroom, I know what to do with my teenage daughters. And I know that sounds really funny. You're like, oh, what does she see in the classroom? Well, I know in 5 years, they're going to be sitting somewhere at the university taking classes. And I see these students that are thriving. And sometimes I even ask them, what did it make you to get there? How did you interact with your parents? What's your contact with your mom? I ask them because I want to learn from them. And they're right there, right? This is my perfect audience. So with my teenage daughters, my number one rule is every evening we eat at dinner table. And I'm not going to let go for that. If they are in my house and they live with me, we're going to eat at the dinner table. And we're always going to start with what was your favorite part of the day? And what was maybe something that didn't go well, and let's talk about that, and what could I have done about this differently. And I want to address both things. One of them is that little win, and the other one is the failure. And I always tell my children, failure really just stands for your first attempt in learning, right? FAIL. So I want to normalize failure. So when I see my college students, they're sometimes very hard on themselves in terms of striving for perfectionism, or they need to have it all figured out. But in reality, they just left their home and they have to do life by themselves. I mean, it's a huge change. And I think that sometimes we need to be a little bit more graceful of difficult that really is, and they're still growing. So I really try to set up my daughters for the fact that you need to look back at your day, celebrate the wins, but also normalize failure. And at the same time, because we eat at the dinner table together, we also, of course, because I'm a health and wellness coach as well, we're also talking about, food or taking care of your body or taking breaks. What books are you reading? So there's this wellness component that we need, especially if you are dealing with teenagers, that you need to talk about and you need to normalize. And of course, I need to model that behavior to them too. So they look very much at me as their role model. And what is mom doing? Is she working out? Is she eating healthy? Is she taking care of herself? And so that is something that, especially if you're a mom of teenage daughters, you need to set that example for them. I cannot emphasize that enough. How much they really look at you, even when you don't always see them looking at you, is unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah. I find that to be, it's like indirect parenting. When you're just being your normal self, doing your normal things, they're absorbing that. They're they're following that to an extent. They're normalizing that as like what adulting is when they
Mhm.
become adults. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another thing that you just mentioned with the indirect parenting. So my number one rule in life is, being kind. So when I go to stores, I always make a point in talking to the person that checks me out because they have to ask, I guess. So did you find everything okay? And then I ask them back, how is everything going for you? Has it been busy here? How is your day going? And they're always like, oh, so you actually asked me a question. Or we frequently see clients in town that I'm coaching or college students that I see in the classroom. And then they watch me interact with them, how I know their names, how I ask about where they are. And it's really that intention and that purpose that you need to focus on what is really the transformation that's happening and how can I help you get there. That kindness. And I think that is really, really important that you really focus on the petite practice, one thing at a time, instead of doing multitasking and doing like 15 things at once, not doing anything correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice. Yeah. All right. Let's bring it into the mind for a minute. So what are the biggest mindset shifts that you think help your clients pursue their goals with confidence? Because especially in the season of like working motherhood, young kids, teenage kids, it can feel like there's no time for those goals. So what are the mindset shifts that you work with your clients on this?
I think that the biggest mindset shift really is celebrating 3 wins at the end of the day. Because frequently you look at your day, you're like, well, that was like total waste of my time. And then I said, no, let's just get it out. Let's just get it out. Let's just get that paper out. We're going to look at it. What did you do? And what was maybe good about it? And then it's always the same. It's like, well, so yeah, I wrote these emails. I was like, wait, you wrote emails? Yeah, but then when I hit send, I didn't really feel quite they were great. And I was like, did they need to be perfect? Do you really think that anybody reads them that closely? You got them out. So always celebrate progress over perfection, right? So you really need to look at what did I get done from your to-do list and transform that into like a ta-da list. Really celebrate wins. And I usually say 3 wins at the end of the day because it really propels your next day forward. At the same time, and I just mentioned that with regard to making the perfect email, we tend to be overthinking really how other people perceive us. And we put this huge pressure on ourselves to be always perfect. So be it, maybe you send out an email where there was maybe like a little typo or maybe one of the links didn't work. And so what, right? I mean, it's great to double check. And if it happens, it happens. It's definitely better to get that email out than sitting and dwelling over it, because then after a while, the email will be dated. And you're like, well, now I'm just not going to send it at all anymore. So I always say to my clients, you need to let go of the idea that whatever you put out is going to be perfect, because that's just not what we're going to strive for. We're going to strive for the B-level work. Needs to be good, but it doesn't need to be perfect, because otherwise we're never going to move the needle in your business. And that's really what we're going for here.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you use this in your classroom. Done is better than perfect. Have you heard that expression? Yeah. I say that a lot because I definitely have been in those shoes where I'm overthinking or overanalyzing things. And, yeah, sometimes you got to just like police yourself, hit send and move on,
And with my clients, what I notice a lot, especially if they want to launch a product or they have a sales pitch. Oh my gosh, elevator pitches are like my favorites. I love to prepare elevator pitches for, applying for funding or anything like that. And then they overanalyze the elevator pitch. Well, I will not have that. And it's like, you're just going to send this in. So I usually set them a deadline. And I said, all right, so let's work backwards. We're regressing and let's just reverse engineer. We're going to get this elevator pitch done by April 1. So that means by Friday, this elevator pitch is going to be filmed, and then you can maybe look at it again if you need to edit it. But otherwise, we're going to click send on the 1st, right? And that's always like really like, oh my gosh, once there's a date to it, it becomes like real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A deadline is so key, especially if you find yourself procrastinating. I know that works wonders for me and clients. And yeah, it is a good system. So I love that. All right. Before we move on to our lightning round, I'm curious if there's just like one piece of advice that you'd give to moms who feel like they have these goals or they have this one thought or idea, but they just haven't gotten started or they haven't completed it.
That's a great question. I mean, you're kind of like feeling you're stuck, you're overwhelmed, you're kind of like what I call in the messy middle, right? So make me like, where am I, etc. What sometimes helps, and quite honestly, I think that's a big transition, especially if you're working mom from home, is that you create a little bit of room in your home where it's going to be your office space. Because once you actually have like a dedicated desk, maybe you even have like some beautiful office accessories, let's call it like that, like some nice lighting or a cute chair or anything like that. It actually really helps because that will be your oasis of productivity, so to speak. And I see this all the time. I even go sometimes to my client's office, or if they don't live in the same state, we do like a Zoom and I look at it. Because I think if you're stuck or overwhelmed and you don't have a dedicated workspace, maybe you're working at your kitchen or your dining room table, it's really hard to actually get going because you need to clean up the kitchen to actually get your work done. Or, maybe like sometimes they work on the couch or something in between. But if you have that dedicated workspace, could even be part of the room, I think that's really when the magic happens because you're like, oh, that's mine. And that's where my work can happen. And then set some time aside that you're actually going to go to your desk and get that work done and put your work right there. Maybe little sticky notes with mantras or like some beautiful pictures of your children, some things that bring you joy so that you associate your work more with something that's actually meaningful. And your children will ask you about it too. They're like, oh, mom, like, have you used your desk yet? Or maybe they can make you a drawing for it and you can put that up and it brings a smile to your face. That is so important. That exterior environment is absolutely intentional because now you really put a meaning to your mess, right? So that messy middle all of a sudden becomes the structured work environment.
God, I love that advice. So good, so practical, so tangible, and really does make a big difference. I remember when I did create that space in my previous home, and it was honestly, I think it really helped me finish my first book. I mean, it was like such a game changer to have a dedicated space for just, the work that you're doing or the business you're building or whatever that is. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, Dr. Christiana, we are at the time in our episode where we're going to move into the lightning round. This is where I like to ask guests just random, fun questions to get to know you a little bit more personally. Are you ready?
Of course.
All right, good. If they made a movie about your life, who would you want to play you?
Well, I was kind of like thinking, I like Cameron Diaz a lot, right? I think that she's super fun and bubbly. And one of my absolute favorite movies is The Holiday. Love the clothing that she's wearing, and she's in California. So, and I think there's a lot of attributes that I associate with her. So I think that she would be absolutely fabulous. My second best and runner-up would definitely be Meryl Streep. That movie, The Devil Wears Prada, is always on my top list, partially because it takes place in Paris. But she has that really strong power, that kind of masculine means feminine that I'm striving for myself. And she's just such a role model.
Those are great choices. I could see both of those for you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
What is your go-to, like, get it done song?
I frequently play that song. I'm also a fitness instructor, so I teach a lot of hours of fitness at the recreation center on campus. And frequently I play this song in my early morning Pilates classes. It's called Calm Down by Selena Gomez. And it has a really nice beat. But think about the meaning of the song. It's a calming down song, but it has a strong beat that empowers you, but not like in a hype song type way. And I think that is really something I'm striving for myself. I don't want to get like all like jazzed up, but I rather want to have that strong, calm energy that really helps others maybe transform their power into something amazing. And that's ultimately really what we're going for. Plus, Selena Gomez, that's kind of wonderful right there too.
Yeah, I'm a fan of her as well. What is an app that you just cannot live without?
Every day, I use my Duolingo to keep practicing my French. And that app is something that I absolutely love. It ties in with my Petite Practice too, because I was at a point in my life when I moved to the United States to where I let go of speaking French because I used to travel to Paris so much. And then it's not like I'm running into French people here all the time. So I kind of realized, oh my gosh, my French gets really rusty. So Duolingo, I do it on a daily basis, maximum 15 minutes. And I break it actually sometimes even up into 5 and 5, and that's it, like 10 minutes per day. It's such a Petite Practice powerhouse because you just do a little bit and it keeps your memory fresh with that language. I also really love that I got my husband into learning German, which is my mother language, and my children as well. I speak actually German with them. So they are fluent in Spanish and in German as well. So we have a whole family plan, and it's not expensive at all, but we all like in this Duolingo family plan, and it's quite fun. And I think in terms of apps, it's definitely well designed to gamify learning, which is what I absolutely love too. So all my books have games and word searches and puzzles and doodle pages in there. They have interactive elements because I'm a strong believer that we're all different learners. And that Duolingo app really hints at that.
Yes. I feel like you need to be a Duolingo ambassador. You should contact them after this. That was such a good commercial for them. All right, Dr. Christiane, we are just about ready to wrap up. Before we do, can you please tell our listeners where they can find you and learn more about the Petite Practice?
Yeah, so I would love to meet up more with anybody that has any follow-up questions. To me, the podcasts have this wonderful open space. So reach out, drchristiane.com. Then, of course, you can check out my podcast, Happy Healthy Hustle. And I also have books on Amazon. So if you just put in Dr. Christiane, they should come up. There are 3 different books. The Petite Practice Planner, which is super interactive, and just launched actually last Sunday, and it's already doing amazing in terms of the feedback that I'm getting. And the Discover Your Superpower book, which also has elements of my podcast in there. So those audio pieces together with games and, of course, worksheets. And then the best-selling book, which is called How to Master Your Goals. And I would love, of course, if anybody wants to reach out via Instagram, it's dr.christiane. I post videos on a somewhat regular basis, a few times per week, and they're usually giving you a little glimpse into my life in California.
Love it. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you. That was really fun.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.